I am the one who knocks.
Hey guys, Pro Golfer here, and welcome back to the best channel on YouTube, barring maybe SS Movies, who have brought us classics such as Bounce by the Ounce. You know, I can't really compete with that. But today I want to talk about my favourite show, Fred. No, but in all seriousness, you might think from the title and thumbnail that I'm talking about Breaking Bad, and you're
Goddamn right.
I'm actually going to be talking about why Breaking Bad is the best live action show I've ever seen. I know originally I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 in my June video. It's the first piece of backtracking, certainly not the last, but the first piece of backtracking I'm doing on this channel. And yeah, it is, like myself, without a doubt, a solid 10. I'm going to be going through why I think it's a solid 10 and how it's just the best show I've ever watched. Originally I was going to do like a video about the shows I've watched, because I've watched some good shows, you know, The Boys, I don't know, The Bodyguard, Daredevil, The Punisher, and I was going to make like a list of those, but then I was like, wait, why don't I just talk about the best show I've ever watched? So this isn't just an enjoyable piece of content for me, it's changed my mentality from a beta to a sigma. You know, before my mum would be like, oh Josh, do the dishes, and I'd be like, oh okay mum, but now I'm more like,
who are you talking to right now?
you know, I don't take anything from no one anymore. Everything was done right with this show, especially the characters. I don't think anyone's a filler character, as much as I don't like some characters, looking at you, him, Marie and Skylar. I think they all add something to the show. There's nothing worse than when they just put in a filler character and it just doesn't work. The pacing of the show is also excellent. They don't introduce anything too quickly, and you get to really see where Walter White goes from a regular teacher to a ruthless meth cook who poisons children and runs over people in his 2004 Pontiac Aztec. You know, virtually all the episodes are entertaining and add something to the story. Even the filler episodes, they're really good. Like, I'd still enjoy them. I mean, I'd rather watch Walter and Jesse chase a fly for 45 minutes or whatever it is than watch 5 minutes of half the shit Disney Plus has shat out in the last 6 months or whatever. Barring Obi-Wan, I love you Obi-Wan, but you know, we all know what I'm talking about. Gus is my favorite character. He just has this terrifying aura. Like, even when he doesn't show that he's particularly angry, you can just tell. It's like how I'm gonna look at my kids if I catch them doing TikTok dances or something. You know, they'll know how angry I am, but you don't necessarily know through facial expressions. But you know, through his calmness, you can just tell how angry he is. I don't know. It's hard to explain in words, but I think it really showed it when, you know, he just slices Victor's throat. Not that I really cared about Victor. I wasn't that attached to him as a character, but it shows his ruthlessness that he can just do that and then just go back to being normal. Like a moment of primal rage, and then he just goes back to be this calm and collected guy throughout the show. But it terrifies even Walter, who, you know, has done his fair share of things at that point. Yeah, I think that scene as well is just chilling. Like, it's like, oh my god, this guy, you know what he's about, because he's obviously the business he's in. But then at that point, you really know what he's about. The duality of how he acts most of the time compared to like his like savage moments. It's a great part of the character, and partly why I really like him so much. You know, I'm struggling to pick a favorite episode, but I'd say the 13th episode of season 4, Face Off, I believe it's called, is probably my favorite. It's really interesting to see Walter's strategy at killing Gus. You know, because if he fails as well and Gus finds out, he's dead. And Gus is also very smart, as we see throughout the show. He's like one of the most intelligent characters, if not the most, maybe after Walter. I'd say on par with Walter, to be fair. But yeah, I really like that episode. You know, not only was the explosion scene incredible with the VFX that they used to split him open, but Giancarlo Esposito as well was just incredible, as I said in my original video. And also the Boys video. I'd say this is probably the best role I've seen him in. But he's just great at playing villains overall anyway. It provided closure for me on the Gus storyline, and I think it was done at the right time, which partly is why I really like Gus as a character, because they haven't rinsed him. You know, there's so many good villains, like we've all seen it, where they're really good, or like, you know, there's a good storyline, it doesn't have to be a villain, but they just like ruin it by like overdoing it, and they keep coming back to life, or they're not really dead. Season 3, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, apart from maybe season 4, they kind of did that with Stranger Things, with like the upside down things or whatever. Although I know they developed it, but do you know what I mean? It was kind of the same villain every time, which I'm not mad at, but I think with this show, it wouldn't have worked if they just did that with Gus and just kept continuing him. I liked how they just gave him a definitive death. In terms of the definitive death as well, like that scene where he gets split open, it's good to see him get blown up in a way, because it did give a sense of closure. And I think it also showed that Jesse and Walter don't have to watch their backs as much, I guess. And it kind of also signified that, you know, Walter's now like the head of his operation. I think it was a good character arc. You really had to see him boss up. Also, on the topic of Jesse, I think him and Walter work so well as a pair. I mean, I really like the fact they don't never betray each other. You know, as much as they don't like each other at some points, they don't betray each other, and there's like a sense of brotherhood almost, or I don't know, a strong partnership that can't be broken. Even when like one of them gets kidnapped or kind of thinks about snaking them, they don't. Even at the end of the episode, Walter does set Jesse free, which I really liked. I think it was also good going into the show that they had like a pre-existing relationship of some sort, you know, like a student and a teacher in a school environment, but now it's like a student and a teacher in a meth environment. But yeah, I still think it's just a great relationship, and I love that character dynamic. I think they are the best duo in the show. Maybe Walter Jr. and Hank at the barbecue come close, you know. I think Jesse and Walter also work well because like Jesse doesn't know about how to cook things. You know, I think they would just argue too much or change the formula or whatever if they both were really qualified, which I think is they showed that problem with, you know, Gale. It showed why they can't just have someone really qualified. It's like that relationship that they have, and the dynamic of, you know, Jesse knows how to run the street things and then Walter doesn't, but he knows how to cook the meth. I think that works well. I think also R.I.P. Gale, by the way, but yeah, I think their relationship is just partly why I really like the show so much. There's just so many good scenes. One of my favorite scenes, I mean, I have a lot of favorite scenes in this show, but one of my favorite scenes is definitely where they're, you know, in the caravan and they find out how much money they're going to make, and they're like, yeah, come on. I think that's just a really good moment, you know. Despite the fact they're cooking meth, I suppose Walter at least is doing it for a good reason, and at that point in time, and I don't know, I felt like I accomplished it with them, you know what I mean? You know, as much as Jesse is a consumer, he's also a manufacturer and supplier, which I thought was cool. It's like his knowledge of drug dealing definitely contributes to how successful they are. Without him, I think Walter, as much as he'd be able to make the product, would either get manipulated or just, I think there might have been a situation where, like, you know, he, like similar to what happens to Jesse, where someone just takes advantage of him and locks him in a room and makes him cook, which I suppose does happen with Gus to an extent, but I think he needed Jesse to basically, you know, show him the ropes of how to sell it. And yeah, I just like how they perfectly complement each other is what I'm trying to get across. They think their relationship makes the show really special. I also liked how, you know, they become progressively more immoral, but they try and justify it, especially Walter. They try and justify it. You know, I think the ricin poisoning the kid, that was a really cool twist as well. You see the plant in his garden, or not ricin, but you know, the flower seed, or I forget exactly what it's called, but I'll put an image on screen. It's like, and the fact that that's when you really learn that Walter, he just cares about money at this point, because you think before he's doing it for his family, but then when you learn he can poison someone else's child, it's kind of hard to not only root for him, but, you know, be on board with his idea. I think he just becomes like, I mean, I know he gives the money at the end to his kids, or tries to at least, with Gretchen and Elliot, but it's cool to see him become like a careless individual who's basically evil, to be honest. My other favorite character, I suppose, Hank. You know, he's brought countless memes. Like, I love when he gets out of the car and he's having the panic attack. Obviously, I don't want anyone to have a panic attack, but that meme is just amazing. Like, you can't beat it. Like, there's just so many good things. I'll put some on screen, but I just love that meme so much. And then also on topic of memes, you know, just when you thought the show couldn't get any better, they introduced Mike Ehrmantraut, played by none other than Kid Named Finger, one of my favorite actors, Kid Named Finger. He plays this guy called Mike Ehrmantraut. You know, I'd like to see Kid Named Finger like canonized in the Methverse, which is what I've named it, by the way, the Methverse. I think that's a very fitting name. But yeah, I'd like to see Kid Named Finger canonized, but if this is the closest we're gonna get, that's okay. I'm fine with this being the closest we'll get. Now guys, if you did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate you leaving a like, maybe even subscribing. You know, please consider doing that. Even sharing the video, you know. I want this video to blow up Hector Salamanca style, and I can't do that without your help. So yeah, you know, if you did enjoy, consider doing that. And thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.